Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin our services, if we can please kindly turn off all cell phones or electronic devices, or please place them on silent. Thank you.
Bismol David, Adonai Rohi, Lo Echzar, Binot Deshe Yarbitzeni, Al Mei Menuchot Yenaleni, Nafshi Yeshover, Yanecheni V'Magale Tzedek, Leman Shemo, Gam Ki Helech Beget Salmavet, Lo Irara Ki Ata Imadi, Shiftecha Umishantecha Hema Yenachamuni, Tarach Lefanai Sholechan, Neged Sorerai, Dishanta Vashemen Roshi, Kosi Revaya. That's kind of cool. Ach tova chesed yirdefuni koyemei chayai, Veshavti bebeit Adonai leorech yamim.
Words of Psalm 23, chanted by Chazan Pomerantz Boro, and the echo of Chazan Pomerantz Boro as well. The Psalm of David: the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me to lie down in green pastures and leads me beside the still waters. God restores my soul. God guides me in straight paths for God's name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The reason that Psalm 23 is chosen for the funeral liturgy is usually attributed to this very famous and very powerful line of, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Right? The shadow of death is where you are right now. In the time frame, timeline of Sylvia's life and loss, as you begin to walk this journey of mourning, you do so each as individuals in your own way, and you also do so together as a loving family, following Sylvia's bright and brilliant example to each of you. In my mind today is a different phrase from this psalm. This idea of Hema Yanachamuni, these are the things that offer comfort as we travel on this journey of mourning. Well, we know that many beautiful and meaningful memories, a special person in your lives brings you comfort, but so does the presence of extended family and friends and your community that stands with you as well. All of that's represented in these moments. These are hard moments. They're not so easy to face nor to get through, but we know that we travel this journey of mourning with the support that we will need to get through it. We know that a valley is open on both sides. We enter into it, but we also exit into a world that's been made better because of Sylvia's journey through it. We only can pray that you'll find the comfort in your hearts that's being offered by all those thinking of you today. On a tough day, a challenging day for the family as you remember such a beautiful soul and spirit. And it's going to be to those who will recall memories of Sylvia that we're going to turn to now. Eric is going to lead us off, so I'll invite you to come on up and be followed by Shayna and Jared coming up together, and then Scott, Evan, and Blair, who will come up together as well.
Okay. I just have a few words. I'm going to keep this short. Definitely our role model, our matriarch of our family, and well, we couldn't ask for someone better to do that, to do this. I'm going to start out, because I go back, the only two that know her longer than I do is Barbara and Marcia. We go back 50 years. And when we got engaged, the first thing she said is, "You call us mom and dad." And boy, did she live up to that as a mother to me. And you know what? I know I had my moments, but I loved her, and I was able to, criticize, sometimes not be so nice. But you know what? She knew I loved her more than anything. And I just wanted to thank her for the most precious present that she could have given me, and that's Barbara. Okay, so, wow, that was, and having a sister like Marcia. Not only that, but look at the family that came with that, with Barbara and Marcia. Mom, I can't thank you enough for that. She had a special gift, and that gift, I hope I'm going to be able to, emulate. She made everyone that she came in contact with feel special. And that's, not too many people really accomplish that. So, you know what? I thank her for that. She made me feel special. I don't think there's anyone that she touched that she didn't make feel special. She had that special relationship. Where's Rob and Sue? I wasn't going to write anything down, and I was just going to say this. And I just came up here to thank her. And you know what? This is, without realizing it, this is what I wrote it on, okay? I turned it over, thank you. So where's Rob and Sue? Is this a coincidence? I don't think so. So that's it. Mom, we're gonna, I think she'll always be with us. And the gratitude for me isn't going to stop, because my family is growing. Thank you, Mom. Thank you.
I'm going to be reading more than he did because I don't want to miss anything. Bubby Sill, that's what I called her, was my best friend in the entire world. She was my rock, one of the most intelligent people you'd ever meet with a big heart of gold. She was an amazing speller, a Scrabble and Wheel of Fortune master, a math whiz. She was able to figure out any extensive math problem in her head. She was my biggest cheerleader for anything I ever accomplished, including becoming an educator, meeting Jared, who she often said reminded her of her husband, my grandfather, Papa Harold's, with his huge heart, and being right by my side as my number one positive supporter for everything, for Jared's past medical issues, for our fertility journey that helped bring our daughter Ava, one of her biggest prides and joys, into the world. She was there through every good time and, more importantly, every hard time. You could call her at any time of the day or night, and truly any time. It could be the middle of the night with anything, and she was just happy you called her and to be there for you, and she would spend an infinite amount of time talking to you. She was the most generous person I've ever met, with time, patience, and would truly give you the shirt off her back. She also had a great sense of humor. She was an instant close friend to almost anyone she met. Any friend of mine or Jared's immediately became her friend too. My best friends they have a love for Sylvia, and Sylvia had a love for them too. Some of the memories that I will cherish the most with her are, we lived together for 5 years after I graduated college. And then she lived with Jared, Ava, and I for half of every week in the biggest part of the pandemic, the heat of the pandemic. She also slept over at our house during every snowstorm. We had many games of Scrabble and Monopoly. She was like one of the guys when she was at every Super Bowl with us in our house. Jared would have his friends over, and it was Jared's friends, Bubby Sill, and me. She was like one of the guys. She also turned into like part of my best friend group with my best friends, and two of them are here today. That they love her so much too. Anyway, one of my best memories with her was a party that we had at her house. It was a few of my friends, and it was watching the series finale of one of our favorite shows together. And every week when This Is Us, the show This Is Us, I got her into the show. Every week after it aired, the day after, we called each other to talk about what we thought was happening, and it was like a special thing we had. The last memory, it was some TV memories because we used to sit and watch TV together, but we loved watching The Golden Girls and The Nanny and having tea every night. And then finally, Jared has said this. I said, unfortunately, I've been through many grandparent deaths already, and she has been the constant who's always been there. And he said to me, I said, I don't know why this is one of the tougher ones for me. And he said, because you've always had her. She was also there through my childhood. So those times too, I have these fabulous memories of her from when I was younger, and we had a blast every time she babysat us, my sisters and I. She loved shopping. She was a shopaholic, just like me. So we went to the mall. We went out to eat, and she even came with us to Florida on a memorable trip. I have learned an infinite amount of life lessons from her, but I'm going to share with you a few important takeaways that I carry with me every day. You can never have too many friends. Spend as much time with family as possible. Don't ever change who you are, and always be the bigger person, even when it's hard. Thoughtfulness goes a long way, and it can be the little things that are meaningful to people. And last but certainly not least, don't ever give up on getting the best deal possible, or don't ever give up on a return when shopping. She truly knew the value of $1. Bubby, you are truly the very best grandmother and great-grandmother that anyone could have ever dreamed of having. We were the lucky ones, enough to be able to be given the gift of you. We know you will always be with us, and we will never forget you. I promise to make sure that Ava's love for you now continues like that forever. And I promise to channel and use your advice all the time, like we said I would. We actually had a conversation when she was with us over the pandemic, and I said, I don't know what I'll do without you. And she said, I'm always going to be with you. as you said to me last week, Bubby, nothing will change between us. We both know that. You will always be in my heart every minute of every day.
Last night, ironically, your brother, Uncle Neil, joined you as he passed away. I know you are now together and also with your mom, dad, and the love of your life, Papa Harold. We love you always and forever, and you will always be with us whenever we go and whatever we do.
We love you, Bubby.
So I'm going to say a few things. And so when I met Shayna, the first person I met after we started dating in the family was actually Sylvia. And I went to, and the joke was I didn't even know it was a 55-plus community when I went there because that's where Shayna was living. I just thought it was some, random neighborhood in Mount Laurel. But at that moment, she became my grandmother from day one. The way she treated me. And it was just fitting because a few, I don't know the exact timing, but a few months later, my last grandparent passed away. And from that point on, it was like she had another job, and it was to be my grandmother. Because grandparents were very special to me. She took that, and then when she would introduce me to people, like friends, she would be on the phone, and she would say, "This is my grandson, not my granddaughter's husband or boyfriend or fiance." And I think that's what she was about. She was about family. She was about bringing people together. And she had a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun with her. We joked around a lot like Eric. I joked around a lot with her. Shayna mentioned about the Super Bowl parties. I'm a big college basketball fan, March Madness. She would come over. Me and my friends would have like 4 TVs up. She would sit there right with my friends Brett, Josh, and act like she was just one of the guys. And the funny thing is she knew I was a Duke fan, and we would watch a game, and she would become the biggest Duke fan because she knew it was important to me. And I just think everything about her was about making people feel loved, part of the family, part of a community, and everything. And one's a funny story is whenever she came, especially for snowstorms, I would make challah French toast. And literally every time she ate it, she would say, "Oh, this is the best challah French toast I've ever had." I'm like, all right, come on. It can't be the better than, everything, because you say that every time. But that's just how she was. She won it, and food was very important, but food was about family to her. It was very important. And the last thing I'm going to say is this, she had a great relationship with her. It was a special connection with Ava, And I always say, and I told, Jenna, Mandy, and Felicia this, is I've spent the last week, really looking at pictures and videos, and we have so many of them of so many different memories, and that's helped me a lot, and I think it's going to help everyone. And that connection is just, it's incredible. I think the pandemic, in a way, it helped foster that even more because they spend so much time together. But I will say this, Sylvia is going to continue living because of Ava, Riley, Ruby, and Ella. What she instilled into them is going to pass on for generations. So I just want to say that from someone not blood related, but I felt blood related. So that's it.
keep it short. We just want to say real quick that our Bubby has taught us a lot of things, and one of them is, always be generous, even when you're fighting with your brothers and sisters.
Bubby always taught us to love and give love unconditionally. She always had to make you away to feel important. She listened, and even no matter where you were, or where she was, she would pick up the phone, she'd text, and she was there.
Bubby has taught us to be respectful and forgiving. She was a great listener and friend. You could tell her all your problems, and she could make you feel everything. She'd make you feel better. We will cherish our memories with her forever. We all know that Bubby loved us, and we all love
Bubby.
her.
I love her very much. That's a short and sweet. Thank you.
Well, thank you to everyone who shared such beautiful and authentic and loving and really sweet memories, reflections on the life and what you learned from Sylvia's example in your lives for so many years. It's a brief reflection based in large part on our conversation from the other, I guess it was late afternoon, early evening out of Mount Laurel. But starting in maybe unexpected place, which is that Google Maps is handy for many different things, and really not only for getting from here to there. Because when you told me that Sylvia hails originally from South Philadelphia, and you mentioned the intersection specifically, 5th and Pine, so I Google mapped it, looked it up. So 1 block south of Pine is Lombard, and just half a block south of that is Gaskill. The only Philadelphia address I know in connection to my own family's Philadelphia history is that the Hungarian synagogue served by my great and by my great-great-grandfathers, both Englanders, was at 5th and Gaskill. So in her earlier life, and certainly in the lives of her parents, it is simply impossible to think that our families never interacted or at least experienced similar aspects of that unique, almost literally corner of the early 20th century American Jewish community and experience. And I want to tell you that I mention it not just because it's a neat coincidence, but because since we arrived to, or I guess you could say back to this area, no family has been more welcoming or friendly to us than this family. And in learning more about Sylvia's life, her values, her commitments, and mainly her actions, I now know much better one principal source of where you get these beautiful qualities from. Sylvia saw early on what it meant to take responsibility, as her mother was the one who did so for her own family. Whether nature or nurture or both, the result was the same. She was always a very hard worker at whatever she was involved with. In a different era, she likely would have been a lawyer, or perhaps whatever else she chose to be. She also had the compassion and capacity of a really good therapist, helping everyone through problems large and small. And she worked as a bookkeeper, secretary, and eventually as an office manager of Arrett Sales. She had many different skills, all housed in the same person and personality, and that was all combined with an overall brightness that welcomed people in, that won their hearts and created so many unbreakable bonds. how lovely and meaningful it is to hear that across generations she was friends with your friends. Not in a steal them away manner, but in a what's important to you is important to me type of embrace. And how beautiful it is to hear how many have reached out to you during her recent final decline and also since her passing. So many thought of her as a special presence in their lives, and they've let you know that, and they let her know that as well. As we talked before about what is it going to be that offers some comfort following loss, well, little can offer more comfort than knowing the impact that a loved one made over the course of her life's journey. He reflected on how she helped everyone who came into her life and modeled a trait of selflessness in a way that is really quite rare. She was very accepting, and she was always in touch, and she had a phone put in her bathroom to make sure that nothing and no one would be missed. They tell me that the phone is still there. During COVID and in later years, she adapted to Zoom and FaceTime and smartphones, all toward making sure she would be available as a central presence in your lives, which thankfully and quite blessedly both you and Sylvia wanted in equal measure. And Eric said it very clearly. She was not really a mother-in-law, and she was not even in Rabbi Krupnik's favorite title, a mother-in-love, but she was a mother, simply a mother. She was a grandmother officially to all of these wonderful kids who are not such kids, and also a grandmother to many she was not related to in any way except through her own care and concern. And that's very high praise. She knew hardship and she knew loss, especially of Harold, but of others close to her as well, including many good friends. And she managed to stay on her own 2 feet and keep her eyes always looking forward until life brought her here to South Jersey, where she was involved also in a number of ways at our Bethel, including work in our excellent gift shop. I'm sure she would want me to tell you that this is a great place to do some of your Hanukkah and holiday shopping. I don't know our return policy, though. And her involvement at what became her home shul was in part a reflection of her totally Jewish neshama. She valued holiday and life cycle celebration. She filled her home with Jewish art, sent kids to Hebrew school even when they lived in a place where that was far away, and she made sure you remained connected to Jewish community wherever you were. But as one of you pointed out, her best, most important, and longest-serving role was as the best bubby ever. I know all of you are deeply affected and impacted each in your own way by her loss, and I know also without any doubt that the influence of your bubby Sil will be with you always. The pride she took in you will remain with you in this world, because something so powerful does not simply ever disappear, but it's carried forward into newly arriving generations and be carried with you in your hearts and through the stories that you would tell about her highly impactful life. This part of the book of Genesis that we're reading sees the generations come and go almost weekly. One gives birth to the next, lives to see grandchildren, departs from the scene. It always happens more quickly than we remember. Just as even a long and accomplished life can feel in these moments like there were not enough moments, no matter how many moments you were all blessed with. She earned the status of matriarch. Matriarch of this family, like Sarah and Rebecca and Rachel and Leah did in these early portions from our Holy Torah. They are all looked to for the example of their lives, and Sylvia will be looked to for the example of her life for many years, decades, and indeed generations to come. Your Bethel family stands with you in this time of loss. And on behalf of our Chazan and on behalf of Rabbi Krupnik and all of our leadership, we offer condolences to Barbara and to Eric, to Marcia and to Bob, to grandchildren Shane and Jared, Jenna and Jeremy, Felicia and Andy, Mandy and Matthew, Evan, Blair and Jim, and Scott, and to great-grandchildren, Riley, Ava, Ella, and Ruby, and all who will come to learn of the life of an extraordinary and beloved person in all of your lives. Teinish matatsu rabbi tzrachayim, may Sylvia's precious soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. May she rest in peace, and we say, Amen. As a reminder, while I have your attention about Shiva, I'm sure you know the details already, but just to remind and affirm, will be observed appropriately enough at Sylvia's home, 606 Cascade Drive South in Mount Laurel. Today, following the interment, calls of condolence are welcome. Tomorrow, there'll be a service at 6 o'clock p.m. Sunday, visitation starting at 1 with a service at 6. And Monday through Wednesday, visitation 1 to 5 with a service at 7. Also, this was emailed out to the Bethel community and made available to everyone as well. For the El Maleh memorial prayer that will be chanted by our Chazan, and we'll incorporate Sylvia's Hebrew name and those of her parents as well. Invite those comfortably able to do so to rise. Of course, as we always say at Bethel, we can rise both in body and or in spirit. Both count in the very same way. We turn to the El Maleh.
El Maleh Rachamim, Shochen B'Mromim, Hametzeh Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanefei HaShechina, B'malot Kedoshim U'Tehorim, Kezohar Harakiam HaZehirim, Et Nishmat Sora Rivka Bat Shlomo ve'Esther, She'halecha le'olama, Began Eden Tehei Menuchata, Ana Bar Rachamim, Tasdireha Beseter Knafecha le'olamim, V'titzra b'tzra chayim et nishmata, Adonai hu nachalata, V'tanuach b'shalom hamishkava, V'nomar Amen.
Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Sarah Rivka, Bat Shlomo ve'Esther, Sylvia Lande, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful one, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And we say, Amen. Please be seated another couple of moments.
Excuse me, everyone. At this time, we are going to get ready to depart to, sorry. We're going to get ready to go to the cemetery to conclude funeral services. And this time, I'm going to recommend everyone use the restroom. There are two restrooms down this hallway, both rooms on the right. And that's that we hold tight as well. I'm going to get a bag full of belongings for you and your family. I'll present that to you as well. For those of you who are parked right